For the each of the former example of TDC meeting, and at this time I'd like to call the meeting to order, and if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. If we could do a roll call, please. Here. Here. Here.
Brian Kramer.
Here.
Tony Lockheed and Noah Schultz are excused.
Thank you. At this time, the next agenda item will be presentation to the guest first participants earning the American Hotel Lodging Education Certificate. And I'd like to call Dr. Nicole King and Elizabeth up, please.
Good morning. Thank you for coming today. It's always a pleasure to do this presentation and to recognize our certified guest service professionals. Again, we have a partnership with the American Hotel and Lodging Association, and this designated partnership is one of a kind where Lee County has partnered with the American Hotel Lodging Education Institute to be able to provide this certificate today. So thank you again for all of our industry partners. We are now up to over 40 host properties in the area, so thank you for your commitment to the program and the Guest First program. And today we're making history. We actually have 524 CGSPs in the Lee County area, so congratulations. And to the CGSP participants, thank you for the time and the dedication that you took to commit to the program. And at this time, I'm going to call your names to come up and be recognized. So, to our graduates, the first one is going to be from the Best Western Waterfront, Hilda Lee. City of Sanibel, Danette Howard. Dock Ford's Rum Bar and Grill, Mario Zanoli. Echo Farms, Russ Leather. Edison and Ford Winter Estates, Kelsey Tolan. Headpins, Fort Myers, Stephanie Wegman. Lee County Port Authority, Cheryl Morrison and Jolene Adams. Lee County Solid Waste, Rebecca Sanders and Lorna Antoine. The Lee County Visitors and Convention Bureau, we have Megan Contreras. Courtney Harsel. Brian Osowski. Leslie Ann Thompson. Jill Vance. From the Pink Shell Beach Resort, we have Gary Lee. Sanibel Moorings Resort, we have Rosalind Chabot. Bill Zach. Kari Cordiso. Grace Mazzarella. And Andy Scott. From South Seas Island Resort, we have Victoria Bass. From Sunstream Corporate, we have Erica Concepcion. And from Tarpon Bay Explorers, we have Dexter Norris. Thank you again for all of you and your commitment and investing in yourself, and that concludes our program.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations on all the winners. Also like to recognize our County Manager, Roger DeJoy. He furnished the donuts this morning, so Krispy Kreme donuts. Enjoy yourself with them. And I got one here. It was actually not mine. I think it was Andrea's, but I'm going to steal her donut, though. Move on to approval of the August 10th, 2017 minutes. Is there a second? Any discussion? Any opposition? Minutes approved. It's time to call public comment. Any public comment on the issue of the agenda today? Yes, please. Just go to the podium there, right behind you, the podium there, and the mic should be on. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Beth Oliver, Director of Marketing for Offshore Sailing School. A lot of people have asked how we fared like all of you did in Southwest Florida. We also have operations in the British Virgin Islands. So unfortunately, our misfortune in the British Virgin Islands has become Southwest Florida's gain. So I just wanted to thank the hotel properties that are working with us, because we've had to reschedule all of our BBI students in our busiest quarter, the fourth quarter of the year, to Southwest Florida. And we've lost very few defections. So that's due to the great work that the VCB and the TDC have done to get all the pictures out showing that Southwest Florida is open for business. So we thank you very much. And we have rescheduled an event for 20 people. So thank you, Gary Lee, at the Pink Shell. In December, that would have been at Scrub Island. Unfortunately, that resort is closed until further notice, and 140 workers are displaced down there. So we're very fortunate. We lost, unfortunately, we lost all 4 of our Colgate 26 boats down in the BVI. They sunk with a lot of the charter fleets down there. But we are taking possession of a brand new Jeanneau 439 and 479 that are being sailed right now from the Annapolis Boat Show down to South Seas. So we're increasing our fleet in Southwest Florida. We've actually booked people into the Cape Coral, the Westin and Cape Coral, because they have a power catamaran there. If anyone knows anyone that has a power catamaran that could be chartered by us, we're very interested in that. We used to only teach that course in the BBI. So I'm appreciative to everything that all of the resorts and the VCB are doing here to share the truth that everything here is beautiful and in working condition.
Thank you. Any other public comment at this time? Yes, please come forward.
Hello and good morning. I'm Stephanie Aiken from the Westin Cape Coral. 2 really quick things. First thing is I just actually got back this past week. Being with the VCB with you guys, the international going up to the Canada sales mission. We went to Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal. I just want to say it was a fantastic trip. Being one of the partners to be able to participate in this was really instrumental. You know, that Canada market is something that is, very important to us, but we haven't, we've definitely done, advertising and so forth out there, but to be able to connect with so many travel agents, we had so many great events. It really gave us the opportunity to educate these travel, planners about our area, about our hotels. There's so many misconfusion of one, about how we are as Florida as a state, from the hurricane, as well as, being able to educate them about Southwest Florida. I was shocked at how many people and how many travel agents did not know about Southwest Florida. They certainly knew of Miami, Tampa, or Orlando, but it was such a great trip, an imperative trip for us to be on, to be able to educate. So thank you for that opportunity. Second thing is I quickly just wanted to introduce our new GM at the Westin Cape Coral Resort and Marina Village, and this is Michael Tye.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'll be extremely brief, but again, my name is Mike Tye. I'm the new general manager at the Westin Cape Coral, and the Westin looks forward to supporting your initiatives with economic and tourism growth. We're very excited to debut a new ballroom, giving us over 25,000 square foot of meeting space and an additional 30 guest rooms. But it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you.
Thank you. If you could leave me your card before you leave, I actually just emailed Eric last week and got that back, so, yeah.
Day 7 for me, and I still don't have my business.
Okay, when you do, let me know. Thank you.
Sure I will.
Any other public comment this time? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Jack Carver with the Florida RV Trade Association. Just letting council know that the RV industry is alive and well. From my understanding, all the campgrounds suffered minimal damage. Dealers are doing well, and we are gearing up for what should be a very aggressive show season. A lot of RVers coming to our area to enjoy our Florida warmth, and should be a great season. So I'll keep you posted.
Great, thank you for the update. Any other public comment this time? Not being, we'll close public comment, move on to municipalities to be heard. Any municipality would like to be heard?
Good morning, my name is Judy Zamamra, City Manager of Sanibel, and I just wanted to rise and thank the TDC for your support during Hurricane Irma, but specifically your Executive Director. We worked very closely with TAM to be certain we had the funds to do an immediate opening of our beaches, and we had all except for one beach open within 2 days, and within 5 days all of our beaches opened, and we really appreciate the expedited processing and work we did with your organization. So as always, thanks for being wonderful partners.
Great, thank you. And for your city being a great partner too, thank you. Any other cities? Okay, move on. Report of the Executive Director, Tamara.
All right. Good morning. I want to start by introducing some new staff to you. First, Tommy Castle, who is our new Visitor Services Coordinator. Tommy's back here. Tell you a little bit about Tommy. Obviously, Tommy will work with the team out at RSW at the airport. He'll help us with coordinating the recruitment, training, and supervision of 140 volunteers who work those information booths at the airport. Tommy comes to us most recently having served as dispatch director for WT Fellows, where he handled logistics and sales. He worked as a rental facility manager for Haines City Parks and Recreation, including oversight of more than 24 events annually, including Thunder on the Ridge. He also worked with the Visit Central Florida as an assistant project coordinator for tourism and sports event, and as a store manager and marketing coordinator for Polk Outpost 27, the Central Florida Visitors Information Center. His duties included oversight of volunteers, assisting with special events and marketing efforts to promote Polk County. So he is a Florida native, a graduate of Weber International with a bachelor's degree in business administration and a concentration in sports management and marketing. And no, Jeff, you can't have him. We're really happy to have Tommy, so please welcome him. I also want to introduce Thomas Dorate. Thomas, will you stand up? It's going to be hard for some of you to see him. Maybe step out a little bit so some of them can see you. Super. Thomas will be the person that answers the phone when you call the VCB primarily. He will serve responding to customer service inquiries. He will also provide general office support to the VCB. We're really lucky. Thomas speaks fluent French, as well as German, Dutch, and some Spanish. His foreign language skills come in handy, of course, as he assists our visitors. He is a self-described military brat. He grew up in France, Holland, and Belgium. His family moved to Tampa when he was 14, where he attended Plant High School. He's transferred here from Florida State University, and he's pursuing a bachelor's degree in accounting at Florida Southwestern State College. He previously worked as an award-winning customer service lead for Billy's Bike Rental in Sanibel, and I now have to duck when I see Billy. But we're really happy to welcome him, and even more importantly, he came to us with his CGSP. He had already earned it while he was at Billy's, so terrific news for that. And last but not least, I want to welcome Crystal Wyant. She is our new public relations intern. She's going to assist the public relations team with upcoming campaigns and media relations, as well as compile data for reports. She's a junior at FGCU, majoring in communications with a concentration in public relations and a minor in digital medium design. She's a third-generation member of 4-H, and she grew up in North Fort Myers, where she had horses, dogs, cat, and a wild pig. I'm not making this up. We had a long conversation yesterday about Pig. Very excited about that. Who comes for food and love very frequently. On his own, he meanders. Is it he or she? That part of she, sorry, I knew I was messing that up. She credits 4-H agent Kathy Suggs with guiding her to achieve. Her first job was with Lee County Parks and Recreation, working with their 4-H program, and she's really excited to be at the VCB, and we're really excited to have her, so welcome. And I refuse to say this, but I don't have any intentions of having any of those announcements again because we don't have any vacancies. So we're going to try to keep everybody in place. The last time I said I used the wrong words, like a week later, husband got a transfer, so I'm not going to say we're completely staffed ever again. It's bad luck, I think. Let's do the bed tax report. Because we did not have a meeting in September, we are sharing with you both July and August. Bed tax collection for July was up 0.6%. The August bed tax collection was up 5.4%. And for the year, for the fiscal year to date, that leaves us now at this point down 0.1%, actually 0.13, because me and my precision. We are still down a tiny bit a year to date. Rob?
August, it was a big increase.
Yes, it was.
Was there an event-related increase, or how was that?
I think a couple of things. Certainly we had some sporting events. I also think that school started a tiny bit later. Some of the colleges started a tiny bit later this year. I think that impacts the ability for people to take vacations a little bit deeper into the year. Last year, school started very, very early. So I think that's what you're primarily seeing. Quickly, we will do the STAR report. Occupancy for July was down 5.7%. ADR was up 0.9%, and RevPAR, therefore, down 4.8%. I will point out that we had a 3.6% increase in inventory. That represents a pretty good chunk of that occupancy decline, and you'll see that same 3.6% in August. We also hosted NARCH in July of 2016 and did not host NARCH in July of 2017. So probably reflective a little bit of that fact as well. For August, down 3.6%, ADR up 1.9%, so therefore RevPAR down 1.8%. Airport traffic numbers have been fantastic. July up 9.6% and August up 11.5%. Really thrilled to see those summer numbers, and I think showing signs of our push to attract some of our key markets in the summertime. Overall for the year now, passenger traffic at the end of August up 3.3% to 6.2 million. Yes, sir.
On that airport traffic, is there any way to get into the data more where you see, this is clearly not only incoming visitors making this go up, but it's also just people that live in Lee County, and Lee County might have more year-round people, and they are going places.
That's correct.
Do you ever break the numbers up to see kind of whether it's going up both ways, or how that works?
I'm going to have to defer to Carol on that. Carol, is there a way to tell local versus visitation?
Business or pleasure you're referring to?
Carol, maybe you just want to go ahead and come up and tell us a little bit about Air Berlin. Might as well, right? Want to do that? Okay.
As I just mentioned, I'm sure you're all aware of, Air Berlin in August filed insolvency company-wide. They just couldn't make it anymore. Etihad, the main carrier that really have been infusing them with cash, elected not to anymore. After that, the government gave them $150 million to bridge the loan on that to help them get through so they can figure out what they want to do with this insolvency issue with their routes and aircraft. Air Berlin ran through that money quite quickly, and as a result, October 15th, they're going to cease operations as a company October 15th, so our last flight will be the 15th. But there's good news. Fortunately, we have been working with, we have a new carrier starting in May, a German carrier, Eurowings, is going to start Munich and Cologne service. And I've been in active conversations with Eurowings to start potentially earlier for the Dusseldorf. It is under the Lufthansa umbrella, so it would have a Lufthansa code share, so you'd have all the incredible connections via the hubs to Europe and to the world. They're just working on an aircraft type. There is going to be a gap in service. They're going to be honest with you on that. Because this happens so quickly, and these German carriers already had their winter schedules in place and were selling, the seats to the markets that they already had, and the aircraft were already allotted for. So it really was trying to get an aircraft to do the Dusseldorf. We're getting closer. So we have just been working hand in hand with that carrier and other carriers to make this. Tam, you've been here for a while, and Commissioner, you have too, everybody. We've had the service since 1993. They realized, the German carriers, this is a valuable market, a successful market. So it's just really, it's finding the aircraft to make this happen. And Tam, you've been in all our talks, and we're going to do what we can.
Things you don't think about. I mean, you've got to have a radio crew on the ground. You got to have crew for the plane. I mean, it is.
Every aspect of it, you've got to have properly staffed to execute that.
You do, and it's, people say, well, Lufthansa is going to start Dusseldorf into Kennedy and Miami. Why couldn't we? Well, they already operate in Kennedy and Miami. It's easy for them. I mean, we have to get landing rights approval from CBP. Crews have to be found, the proper aircraft. I mean, there are aircraft out there, but it's not the engine type that, that they have their mechanics. So there's a lot of intricacies involved in this, but we are moving forward, and believe me, they know this is a very, very valuable market. So that's, we're working to get this done, and we will get it done.
Thank you for the update.
And I will add, German market is very important to us, and certainly the Air Berlin flights were an enormous help in terms of getting Germans back and forth to Southwest Florida. But they also came they come here a lot of other ways. The numbers exceed the number of seats we have on Air Berlin. So I know that they will make their way to us still. This is still a very important destination to them in terms of vacations. So I am confident that not only will we get somebody to step in, but that we will continue to see our German visitors make their way to us.
You're right about that. I mean, they're still going to come in via the hubs, and that's what we've been saying, because there's a lot of people they've been contacting. I know the commissioner's offices and us saying, what are we going to do? And that's what we've been advising, come in over the hubs, Atlanta, Newark, Chicago, DFW, and Atlanta. And also there's nonstop, I hate saying it, into Miami and Tampa, but so there's ways for them to get there here, but we're definitely going to have it back.
Correct. And similarly, our contractor in Germany is conveying those messages to the travel trade, so that they understand exactly what their options are, so that they can still get here.
So to confirm, we have a gap between this weekend and all the way up through May, right?
As of now.
To fly into RSW.
For now, for nonstop. That's all I can say about it right now. We're obviously trying to push that, but we'll keep it at that for now. And but we are working. It definitely won't happen this year. I can guarantee that. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. We're really pushing for Q1 18. So it's just, like I said, just getting all this in place and contracts and aircraft, it's just not an easy thing to do, not only from, an airport, but from an airline standpoint. So we've been talking to them, probably the network planning and fleet management. I've been on the phone with them at least once or twice a week. So they know we're there, they know we want. I reached out to the CEO, they know the market, so it's here. We have a voice, and we'll get it done.
How many flights a week do they bring in?
4.
4? And how full are those planes?
They're, well, now, I mean, especially that we had a lot of homeowners, German homeowners, they were coming back to check their properties. They've been full inbound, in and out. But they, on average, the business class is almost averages 100%. Load factor, the whole flights are on average probably 80 to 85%, which is, that's a nice load factor, and high revenue.
That's significant.
It's about 90,000 a year. I mean, in passengers that we had on them. So the good news is maybe we're working too with this new carrier. Maybe we'll get more capacity in more cities. So there's a lot of ups to it, but we just have to be patient.
Great. Thank you for the update.
Absolutely.
Pam, a question on the bed tax and STAR. So bed tax in both July and August were both up, and August being significant. And passenger traffic was both up in July and August, but our occupancy in both July and August is down year over year significantly. What are you drawing the correlation to there?
Shorter stays potentially. I mean, of course, you can't say that every traffic, all the traffic through the airport was definitely visitation. But my assessment is shorter stays. There's certainly, all year long, we've been getting reports of shorter stays.
What about Airbnb?
Airbnb certainly could be a factor, absolutely. The difficult thing with the STAR report, as you know, is they're not drawing from every hotel in Lee County. They're drawing from the ones that participate in their program. All branded hotels participate in their program, but not all independent hotels participate. So it is not a full reflection of the destination.
There's a big gap there. With August being up 5.4% in bed tax collection, your occupancy numbers are down 3.6%. RevPAR is down. That's a big gap.
Correct.
So there's something driving that there that isn't reflected in the STAR report.
Correct. I always say it's one piece of the puzzle, right? There are a lot of pieces to that puzzle, and when we see the DPA report, we may see that vacation rentals were up, which would be reflective also of some of that other activity that you're talking about. Sir. All right, well, I want to bring up Jill Vance to give you the domestic sales report, and then she will be immediately followed by Stephanie Zinka, who will do the international sales report.
Good morning, Council. I'm Jill Vance, Director of Sales with the VCB. And I thought it would be appropriate to go over our results for our fiscal year end, for our sales goals from the 2016-17 Sales and Marketing Plan. And the first goal was to increase by 4% the group meeting room nights booked by our industry partners from the leads that we sent. And I am happy to say that we did achieve that goal with an increase of 13% year over year. The next goal was to increase by 5% the group meeting leads sourced to our industry partners, and that too was achieved with an increase of 7% year over year. The next goal was to host 125 travel professionals to the destination through familiarization and site tours, and I'm happy to say we did surpass that substantially, but I do want to note that included in those final numbers was a one-time international mega FAM that had 146 participants. The next goal was for the sales team to hold 25 client events. And just to clarify, a client event typically entails a meal, a reception, or even an event like a Twins game. And this is where we entertain prospective clients, and then we educate them on the destination. And we did achieve that goal as we held 31 client events this year. And finally, our goal to produce 225 wedding leads was not attained. Needless to say, we are running at this. but after some research, we did see a notable decrease in the RFPs submitted on our website after our new website went live. So we have already shortened the RFP submission form with less required fields, and this month we will be making the submit form more pronounced. And also our marketing team has added more wedding initiatives above and beyond what's in the sales and marketing plan and the co-ops. So I'm confident that these changes will help get us back on track. VCB on the road. So I just want to go over some highlights of some group meeting planner activities that we did this past quarter. Jerry Turp held his annual Twins Pine event, where 4 hotel partners and 14 meeting planners were in attendance. Also, Betsy and Aaron divided and conquered the Connect Meeting Place Corporate and Association Show, where they met one-on-one with over 70 meeting planners. Highlights for consumer travel agent and activities. We did attend the Sun Country Airlines Travel Agent Expo, where there were over 400 travel agents in attendance. And also, sales calls were conducted to AAA offices in Atlanta. And you can see in the bottom photo there that there are 2 agents just engrossed in our Lonely Planet Visitors Guide. So activities for the next 3 months. For October, I just want to touch on a couple. Right now, Jerry Turp is attending IMEX America with 3 of our hotel partners, and they're in the Visit Florida booth, and this is a great show because over 5,000 meeting planners attend this show every year. And also, I want to point out the Connect Medical Show. This is a new show for us. It hosts over 200 meeting planners who specialize booking conferences in the pharmaceutical, biotech, and medical device companies. And we've added this in our effort to grow our corporate business. For November, I do want to point out one show. We have the American Express Trade Show, which is also a new show for us. It hosts over 400 American Express meeting professionals who book for Fortune 500 companies. So we also hope to mine more corporate business from this event. And finally, in December, we are attending Florida Encounter, which is by Visit Florida. This is a hosted buyer meeting planner show, and we are delighted that this annual event is booked in our destination for 2018 at the Hyatt Regency Coconut Point. This is a great opportunity for us to showcase the destination to meeting planners that do book in Florida. Now I'd like to turn over to Stephanie Zinka to give you an update on international.
Thank you, Jill. Good morning, Council. My name is Stephanie Zinke. I'm the International Sales Manager at the VCB. And as Jill pointed out, I'm just going to run you briefly through what we've done on the international side. So in August, we were, for the first time, the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel had been selected as the official pre-FAM host for the show held in St. Petersburg, Clearwater, called La Cita de las Americas. So we hosted 10 travel agents and media and travel writers from 4 different countries in South America. And following the FAM, we attended the show in St. Petersburg, where we had 30 pre-scheduled meetings and appointments with tour operators, online travel agents, as well as airlines, because we focused on a couple of projects for 2018 where we decided to join our efforts with other DMOs and airlines to kind of maximize and leverage our efforts in the South American market. In September, we had a couple of minor surprises. It was a busy and interesting month for everyone, but we turned some of those into great new opportunities. We acted very quickly. We showed our flexibility, and we pulled together as an industry with all of our partners to make it happen and host a Brand USA Germany Lufthansa Mega FAM, which our partners to the south in Naples were not able to host due to the Irma circumstances. So we stepped it up and took the advantage and showcased our destination that we're up and running and open for business only 10 days after the storm. We heard a lot about our new air service starting in 2018 with Eurowings. So we kicked off the first part of our hashtag Next Stop Influencer FAM that we did in September. The next part, part 2, is actually happening next week. We also attended the RTO Summit in Orlando, where we had the opportunity to meet with 26 receptive tour operators who sell our destination globally to all kinds of travel agents. And it was a great timing and good opportunity to let them know that our hotels are open, our attractions are open, and we are open to welcome our visitors. And also overseas, the team went and toured Switzerland, and we also attended the largest trade show in France. In October, overall, our main focus was to take advantage and tell our story, to update everybody on our destination. So we did that very recently, and Stephanie already pointed that out. Precisely last week, we conducted our sales and PR missions throughout Canada, together with 4 of our industry partners, whom I would like to thank at this point for their partnership and effort and time to come out with us. Together, we covered 3 different cities throughout Canada. We did sales trainings, we held meetings, we hosted media and trade evening events in each of those cities. So here's just a couple of testimonies, but of course we had a live testimony, which is better than these blurbs here on the slide. I would estimate that overall we interacted with an audience about 200 plus Canadian travel professionals, which was a great opportunity for us, to spread our message, and we did it in a fun kind of news broadcast style, because obviously there was a lot of news out there, and we needed to make our own news. And we certainly did that. Within hours, we had media coverage in several different channels. We focused with our messaging on islandology. We used an interactive broadcast kind of format. We had our partners interact with live reports. We had live beach camps going up, and we even brought our manatee to give special hugs to our guests. If you're interested in any of these links for the articles, feel free, we can share them. And looking ahead, the next 2 weeks of October are pretty busy for the international team. We will be active in Germany, Canada, and Argentina. And then continuing in November, we head to the Netherlands for both trade and consumer events. And then, of course, to London, where we are honored to have Commissioner Pendergrass join us for World Travel Market the first week of November. And then we finished the year with travel agent trainings in Germany and Switzerland. And in December, here in Destination, we actually are part this year of the Dare Tour Campus Live event. Dare Tour is one of the largest German tour operators, and they're bringing in 95 travel agents, and then they spread them out throughout Florida on different FAMs. The beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel will host a group of 20 people in Destination, and then we continue and go to their final event in Orlando, where we will be holding 5 20-minute workshops to update eventually all 95 agents about our destination. And this really concludes not only the year on our calendar, but also my update for today. Thank you for your attention.
Stephanie. I have to tell you, I'm especially proud of how this team has stepped up post the hurricane. I mean, there has been so much going on, and with very little time to react to some of it, but they really honestly have made all of the community proud by the way they've handled themselves and the things they've taken on the last few weeks. Judy, will you please give us the visitor services report?
Hello, everybody. Judy Durant with Director of Visitor Services out at the airport, and as like Carol said, we're having a lot of fun out there. We're very happy to let you know that for this last quarter, we did work with a little over 30,000 guests, and year-to-date since last October, we've actually interacted with over 217,000 travelers and guests to the area, so it's been a lot of fun. We loved also the fact that through our customs program, we actually have also worked directly with a lot of our international arriving guests, and probably year-to-date almost 30,000 folks, so we're really thrilled about that. That's again, with our almost 140 volunteers, saved the county almost $500,000, and actually year-to-date almost 700,000, so we're really thrilled about that. As you can see by this next slide, some of the information requests that we get are really very interesting, and we love to see under activities that fishing has popped back up there this last quarter, which has been very popular. And of course, our ongoing community and partner support has been really, really, really fun, and we of course hope that all of you participated in the Elaine McLaughlin Outstanding Hospitality Service Awards. Brian and his team hosted us at the Hyatt. Brian, I cannot tell you how much we love Mike Dolch, one of your event people, super guy. We had 725 guests. Of course, Delia Gabrikanova from Beachview Cottages was our Honor of Distinction winner, and we had several
fantastic tourism professionals who were our top contenders, and it was quite a great event. So we're very, very happy. And also, one of the things I'd like to show you very briefly, and as you see with this slide, essentially is what would you like to do while visiting the beaches of Fort Myers? And this project came out of the fact that when visitors arrive, they are always asking us very simple questions. What can they do while they're here? Where can they go? What's happening while they're here? So after some great collaborative efforts with Mike Squire, with Lee County ITG, and Brian Ossowski and the MMGY Global Marketing Team, we came up with what we affectionately call the Sun Bucket List interactive kiosks. And as you'll see by this first slide, it's a welcome to the area. It's a very simple 6-question questionnaire, if you will, that's on the interactive kiosk in our upstairs information booths. So people can simply go, hey, let's make a plan. The best part about this is after just a few short questions, it'll go right to their cell phone. And then what happens on the next slide is they simply input their email address. They do not have to receive information from us in the future. We certainly hope they do, but if they don't, that's okay too. We'll have the interactive keyboard there, and then as you see by the next slide, they can input their dates. Actually, the date that they start working on the kiosk is the very first one, and then they can choose the date they're actually departing. And as you see on the left, it will show them how long they're staying. The next slide, or the next screen, if you will, what do you like to do? And again, remember, these are all tied to our consumer website, so everything is measurable, and everything is simple and easy and clean and fun for them, and that was the important thing we wanted for interactive kiosks. So this is tied to our water, beaches, and things like that. This next one is moving inland. It's all tied to our nature activities, sports, outdoor activities of that. They choose, again, as you see Ms. Amanda clicking on some samples, things that they're interested in. And then they go to the next slide, and they get asked questions like, what do you do once you're out on the town? Do you want to learn more about restaurants? Are you interested in romantic escapes? How about arts and culture? So again, they can choose one or more boxes that might be of interest to them. And then what do you want to know about what's happening on your event calendar? In other words, let us customize the event calendar for you. And so they're going to pick and choose different things that are happening in the time frame that they are here. And then we don't want to lose the opportunity to actually have them book if they haven't already booked their accommodation. So we do give them options. Yes, send me options if I don't actually have a reservation, but if you don't, they can just carry on. And then we simply say thank you. And within a few short moments, they're going to get their customized plan via email. It's linked right to our website. It has all the specific information and great images they can click on. It also has resource numbers that they can call if they have more information. And to make it even better, our volunteers are right there with them to be able to answer other questions. But the ideal thing about the interactive kiosks, and again, as we affectionately call it, the Sun Bucket List, is that it's 24/7. It's at the airport. It can be accessed all the time. So we hope you like it. It will go live next week. And we hope that when you do try it yourself, you can give us any feedback that you have. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy. Excited about that project. Francesca, would you please give us the communications report?
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Francesca Domlin, Director of Communications for the Lee County Visitor and Convention Bureau. I'm going to briefly take you through what we've been doing in communications. And let's start with some big numbers. For the fourth quarter, we've had more than 834 million impressions, which we're really proud of because it was a tough quarter for all of us, and we really, really had to hustle. And I'm going to show you how we got some of those. We are in a lot of publications, but I picked these three in particular because they're like the best. So Southern Living, we had 15 affordable small towns we love, and Fort Myers was one of them because what is not to love? 6 Mile Cypress Slough was referenced, the River District, and Firestone Sky Bar. I picked the Amazing Food Network piece on Cabbage Key because of how we got it. So I want to just tell you, it's a lot of strategy, it's a little magic, and sometimes it's just good old-fashioned luck. So that particular piece, which garnered 78 million impressions, happened from something called HARO. It's called Help a Reporter Out. And it comes 3 times a day, and it's questions like, do you have a cool cocktail? Do you have a strange animal? And it was, do you have any mom and pop shops? So we send them a few lists, not just one, and they picked Cabbage Key, and then Cabbage Key got lucky, and we all got lucky, and we got these amazing impressions. So, and then lastly, we loved coastal living, because who doesn't want to be in coastal living? And of the 10 best car-free island getaways, we had 3 references. We had Cayo Costa, we had North Captiva, and we had Usapa. So we were really proud of that. And I had so many slides of our magazines, but just know we did really, really well, and we send that to you in Meltwater, so I won't go through that here. We also work really hard with our UK team and our Germany team, our international teams, to bring all sorts of coverage, including like the Waterloo Region Record. They did a great story about the Addison Ford Winners Dates. And Travel Mole, interestingly, did a Halloween roundups and did the Halloween party at Gresham State Park. So, check that out this Halloween. Recent initiatives. We had some recent media visits from the Toronto Star. She was an angler. We took her out fishing. She went to Island Hopper. She caught a whole bunch of fish. She's going to do a tremendous piece in the Toronto Star. Jimmy Jacobs went fishing. We got Ed Condren out doing a cook and catch, and other things, other attractions. And then Ashley Gibbons was a big catch for us because he has a database of UK journalists that he works with. So he comes here, gets his information, and then he spreads it to his group. Aglow. This was exciting. Shelley Krantz, who's here today, represented us in Michigan. She met with more than 20 media, and what was critical about this particular conference was that it happened so quickly after a hurricane. So we were thrilled to have Shelley be there, talk about business, we're open for business, and get on the radio, regional radio, and tell those folks as well, we're open for business. Same thing happened in Canada, Discover Media Day, September 25th, so closely after Irma. We got out there to talk about with more than 30 Canadian travel writers, open for business. And I want to stop here and talk a little just for a minute about our post-hurricane communication. So basically, what is most important is getting our message out and getting the message out that we're open for business. But we couldn't do that right away. We had to wait for a clean bill of health for the beaches. We had to get some roadways open. We had to get some accommodations up and running. But once we did, a few days after that, we crafted messages that went out globally, domestically, internationally, that said we're open for business. We had our teams getting that message out. But what's also critical right after Hurricane Irma is that we crafted a message and we made the decision that Songwriter Fest was going to happen. We made the decision that no one was going to stop the music and that the show must go on. And I have to say, that's going to be a whole nother presentation, but that was just such an excellent decision. We had record-breaking attendance. We had reporters come for that. We had all sorts of social media around that, and people needed it. Our community needed it. Our guests needed it. And so it was just a fantastic event and a message for the whole world to know that we were open for business. Okay, looking ahead. Ta-da! We got CBS Sunday Morning coming, which we're really, really excited about. I don't know if you happen to see that show, but at the end they do this beautiful nature segment. Jane Pauley introduces it. It's going to be Ding Darling. They're coming in January because that is when a lot of the animals and the birds come alive and are best photographed. So I'll keep you posted on what happens with that, but we're excited. We've got a German media press trip coming. They've got some really impressive magazines and newspapers, so we'll be working with Visit Florida on that. We also had a culinary press trip that was supposed to come during the hurricane, but we've rescheduled it, and we're going to be taking them to our hot brewery. We've got so many breweries coming up, and Norman Love, and restaurants, and so that's exciting. And then, for something a little unusual, we're doing the Doc Ford mystery-themed press visit. And so what that's about is, we've got a couple journalists who are fans. His recent book, if you haven't read it, has come out, and we're taking the places that are in the book and we're taking them to visit these places, because some of them are real, like Dingarling, and some of them are he gives it another name, but it's something else, it's like, so we're going to take them there, and that'll be fun, and that has the potential to reach a lot of newspapers because the reporter is from a syndication, so that is exciting. And then travel massive. So that's, as I was telling you, one of the ways we reach out to journalists, conferences, HARO, and one of them is doing cool things like travel massives, and that's when the journalists come to you. So you go to a big city like Chicago, we'll be going to Chicago, Cindy Henson will be going, and we'll go to like a super trendy restaurant that has like Florida sort of like feeling, tropical. We bring the sunshine to the Windy City. The journalists come to us, we do presentations, and it's just a fantastic reach. And then we're going to do Visit Florida, Moments of Sunshine. Tam, in fact, will be going to that. That's going to be an incredibly sort of prestigious, influential opportunity. And lastly, I'm almost done. We are going to do Southeast SEOPA conference in Kentucky next week, which once again, all of these efforts to say we're open. We're going to have a live broadcast from South Seas, a Canadian Zoomer media promotion shoot. And I'm leaving here with Dr. Dirk, who we have nicknamed Dr. McDreamy right there. He is an adventurer, a blogger. He just rode his bike from New York to Los Angeles. He's up for an adventure, and he's coming here to Florida. He's going to do 50 states, one thing in every state. He's coming to paddle through the Great Calusa Blueway. He's going to bring his photographer, and that's going to be a documentary that's going to air, and our own Nancy McPhee is going to paddle beside him for a little while. So we're really excited about that. That'll be in December. So I want to thank you for all of your just incredible generosity when we call you and ask you to host these journalists. You do so much for us. We couldn't do it without you. So if you have any questions, I'm here all day. Thank you.
Thank you
Great
for
job.
your
Thank you.
Brian? Mayor, you had a question, but I didn't see your hand up. Okay, well, it's okay. Why don't we just do it right this second? I don't want to...
No, I'm sorry, it's on the sales activities.
Sure. Joe? Or international or domestic?
Domestic. So the 2016 sale goal.
Sure.
Result. What goes into, when you have the goal and it shows like RFP source 485 or 484, client events 31, do we actually break that down by results of how many actually book, or what, do we do that?
Correct.
That was the top figure of the number of room nights that book.
Okay, so that's where that's included?
Correct. So, our goal is to get as many RFPs as we can with the hope that as many of them will be booked as possibly can. Correct. We track in minutia detail all of our activities. Absolutely. Any other questions? I apologize that I didn't see your hand up. Brian, please, give us the marketing report, sir.
Good morning, everyone, members of council. My name is Brian Osowski, Director of Marketing for the VCB. And wanted to talk to you a little bit today about moving forward with our fall campaign. For the summer, our primary focus is an in-state family drive market. That takes a drastic shift in the fall, where we focus on couples and romantic travel opportunities. This year's promotion is called Get Away Together. We are targeting couples in several of our primary Midwest and Northeast origin markets. One of the most exciting things for me as a marketer is that this fall we are running a fairly heavy television campaign in 4 of our top key markets there, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, and Minneapolis. Thanks to the Commission's approval of some supplemental funding to the tune of $350,000. We made that investment in television. It is running now, started earlier this week through the end of the month. The image you see there is a specific landing page from our website geared specifically for couples travel, a getaway you love with the one you love. Now, when we run television, in order to sort of extend the length of the campaign in these markets, We also run print and some digital to accompany that television. That will actually pick up right after TV finishes on the 30th and run all the way through December. Now for print, newspaper insertions, you can see there November 5th and 19th and December 3rd in Detroit, Chicago, Boston Globe, and the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. We kind of had a good laugh when I was pulling these logos together. We realized they really like that font. They're all the same font. Tim thinks because they've just been around forever. But you see Minneapolis, much more clean and modern, more progressive, right? So for the digital, a handful of some of the news websites that I mentioned that will pick up after our television ends. Again, all the way through December 3rd, Chicago and Boston shown here. So what's the message? Our digital banners, I know it's kind of difficult to see here with the lights on, but the message here is a couple hand in hand out on Boca, and the message, make time for we time. So again, our strategy is to coordinate our print placements with our digital banners to drastically expand our reach and to extend the length of the campaign in these key markets. Some other digital initiatives that are taking place this fall. We have a great partnership with Pandora. Everybody know what Pandora is? It's streaming radio to your phone. They have an added value product that we're using called Engagement Plus that allows us to provide listeners with sequential destination messaging, and you see it here mocked up with our Islandology campaign. It really is a great way to tie all of our creative pieces together for a better storytelling experience. Basically how this works is the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel will sponsor listening for visitors for 60 minutes, and then we basically own that experience, that stream for those 60 minutes, able to get our creative out in front of potential visitors. Someone asked, well, how do you decide who gets to, who do you sponsor for those 60 minutes? We work with our agency and MGY on audience targeting so that we can reach the people most likely to make a decision to travel here. We can also geo-target those people. So Pandora is very, very friendly in helping us get our message out to the right people. Additionally, we have a partnership with Experian. You know, we've talked a lot about data and how we use that research to reach the right audience. So we have a nice digital campaign targeting our visitors through the particular audience segments that we've identified. It's called programmatic. That way we can reach those potential visitors where they are at the most optimum time. As the weather up north gets colder, and we hope for a very, very cold winter this year, Arctic blast for everybody, we will also initiate weather-triggered ads that have worked very, very well for us in the past in the Midwest and the Northeast. The timing of those obviously is dependent on when they sadly get their polar vortex up north. So here is an example of what we did in-state. A lot of what I've talked to you about so far has been done outside of Florida, but we, much like our summer promotion, we also run a fall promotion in-state. This is the cover of a newspaper insert that dropped on September 3rd in the 5 newspapers that you see there for a total of 780,000 gross impressions. Again, promoting the message relax and reconnect, unplug and unwind here on the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel. Again, carrying the message through, enjoy a little we time. We're elevating our culinary marketing efforts, so we feature dining as one of those romantic options for couples travel, and other recreational opportunities. Go to the beach, do some shelling, paddleboarding, and some other things. Of course, at this point, this was early September, so we also marketed our Island Hopper Songwriter Festival. And then in the back, this was a co-op piece, so you see that we also have some lodging partners participate with us in this initiative. So additionally for the fall, you know, I highlighted some of the things that we're doing, but that's certainly not everything on the list. AAA Home and Away, Midwest Living have a big 2-page spread. As I mentioned, Pandora, TripAdvisor, that's always performed well for us. We're making a pretty hefty investment with TripAdvisor as we move into fiscal year 18, Boston Globe Magazine, Lonely Planet. So I feel like compared to last year, we've really stepped up our game this fall and moving into winter. Of course, we're always looking at other opportunities that are available to us. You know, content first approach is what we're taking more so than ever. We have some native content partnerships with the Matador Network and Sherman's Travel. Basically what native content is, allows us to write a story or work with these vendors to write a story about our destination, and then through their individual networks they will distribute that message for us. We're also looking at additional magazine integration proposals. As Francesca said, we do love coastal living. We're taking a look at them as well as Southern living, travel and leisure, and others. So the whole team really did pull together, both during and after the storm, and I just want to cover some of the marketing initiatives that took place post-Irma. First of all, this is our consumer website, a screenshot of our consumer website. During the storm, our first priority was visitor safety. So you see there at the top, we were monitoring the storm and we were encouraging our residents and visitors to monitor the weather. And if they clicked there, they would go to a page to help them more easily do that. Once the storm passed, we switched that information to make it easy for visitors to get the information that they needed. We were getting a lot of questions, so we aggregated, compiled that information onto one landing page on the website, made it easier for our visitors to find. Information there was, is the airport open? You know, what do I do if I have a flight? What do I do about my reservations next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now? What attractions are open? Which are closed? What county or state parks were open? Which were closed? What is the status of the beaches? So we basically put all of that information onto nice, one concise web page, complete with live view webcams as well, and made it easy for the visitors to find. It was updated every morning, sometimes twice a day, based on the information that the VCB was receiving from our partners in the destination. And as you can probably imagine, the marketing team, of course, we use social media to our benefit to get the message out about the storm. Francesca and her team were working through the communications on spreading those messages, and we were pushing things out through social. Basically, we wanted to give real-time updates with real-time photos of different areas within the destination. Most of the questions we were getting on social media had to do, of course, with our coastal areas, so that's what we led with. You can see there on September 15th, just days after the storm, enjoying beautiful blue skies on Sanibel while continuing cleanup. We followed up on the 19th with downtown Fort Myers and around the downtown area. A couple days later, out on Captiva Island, because the water out there was looking beautiful after the storm, still looks beautiful. And Visit Florida, we were very engaged also with Visit Florida. They have a three-phased approach that they're taking to show that the state is back up and running, open for business. Phase one is to take their social media team to different locations around the state. They call it Live from Florida. They visited the destination, where's my date? September 23rd, I believe, and did a 35-minute long Facebook Live session that, as of yesterday, 475,000 views, 4,200 likes, and 467 shares. They were doing a showing walk out on Captiva and engaged the assistance of the Bailey Matthews National Shell Museum to talk to people about the shells that they can find in the destination. Now, we also produced a series of videos ourselves because we felt it was important that, well, we show people that have questions about how we fared during the storm, basically real time. So I'm going to share this series of 3 videos with you, and then some stats that accompany those videos to show you how many people saw our message. The first I'm going to lead with is Sanibel Captiva. Actually, this came sort of as a result of a conversation we had with John Nye at the Sanibel Captiva Chamber of Commerce. Out on Sanibel, they felt it was important to let people know that the islands were open, as you heard from Judy earlier, and so we shared the common interest and we went for it. Here's the first one. Should we get the lights for these real quick? Thank you, Fran. So again, the video was dated. In the message, it showed that Sanibel and Captiva Islands are beautiful and resilient. Just to give you an idea of the performance. So that video was filmed over 2 days, September 22nd and 23rd. It posted September 26th. To date, it's had over 327,000 views, 13,000 likes, and it's been shared 2,400 times. So we did put some money behind it on Facebook, but it's also been on YouTube, on Instagram, and it's been extremely successful. So we led with Sanibel Captiva, and next stop, of course, we went out to Fort Myers Beach, because a lot of the comments on the SandCap video were saying, what about Fort Myers Beach? So here we go. So you can see there's boats on the water, people enjoying Times Square, they're out and about enjoying the beach. My instruction to the video team was, let's capture the vibe of Fort Myers Beach. Let's show the destination, where are we, 2.5 weeks after the storm, and I think we accomplished that. Blown away by these numbers. So that was filmed on September 30th. It was posted October 4th, 544,000 views and counting, 9,000 likes, and 2,000 shares. So really good numbers about our We're Open for Business message. So the last video I'm going to share with you is basically across Lee County. It moves inland and touches different locations throughout the county. It was just finalized last night, the third and final in our series. It has not been posted yet, so here is a sneak peek. So as mentioned, that'll be posted on our consumer Facebook page tonight. You guys can hit the lights, bring the lights back up. So, unbelievable, but yes, everything you just saw in that video was all filmed in one day on Sunday, October 8th, and it will be released today. Does anybody have any questions about any of the videos or anything else, marketing-wise? All right. Just one more piece of business. We do have our Team Tourism annual sales and marketing meeting coming up 2 weeks from today, Thursday the 26th, at the Sanibel Harbor Marriott Resort and Spa. Meeting time starts at 10:30 with a Meet the VCB and networking session, and then we'll get right into the sales and marketing meeting at 11. Really looking forward to our guest speaker. Her name is Kendra Hall. She's an award-winning columnist, author, and national champion storyteller. Of course, we're all destination storytellers, so we're interested to hear from Kendra. And that's all I've got.
Any questions for Brian? Super. Good job. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Good job.
Good job, Brian.
Thank you.
We're going to be skipping the report of the sports development. Next month, Jeff Nicker will be giving us a 6-month report. So we're going to the next business, which would be new business. Tamara?
All right. Well, we'll hop right into it. Brian told you about what we've been doing post Hurricane Irma, but we have been having a lot of conversations within the office with county administration, with Board of County Commissioners about what we should do in terms of allocating some additional dollars to marketing in light of some of these challenges that we faced. And our recommendation to you is that we allocate $500,000 additional marketing dollars. Now, Brian told you that we're going to be doing TV in Boston, Chicago, Detroit, and Minneapolis. To that, and probably based on our ability to buy, probably will be January, we're looking at going into Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus, Indianapolis, Milwaukee, and St. Louis. We would, that would be broadcast TV and then of course some digital overlay on that broadcast TV. In those same markets, we would also do the newspaper and digital extension, much like Brian described for the 4 key markets that we're doing this fall. We would heavy up the Pandora. We think that's a really great space for us. We have a lot of A lot of people that like our destination stream their music, and we think that's a good space for us to be in. We would do some paid social and then some international digital, specifically looking at our key markets, UK, Canada, UK, Germany, and Scandinavia for that digital. Probably TravelZoo and TripAdvisor, as they have performed the best in those key markets for us. In addition to that, which we would ask for from reserves, we are going to ask for $175,000 that allows us to begin promoting the area and the flights from Eurowings. As we talked about a little earlier, those flights begin in May. They're coming from Cologne and Munich. 2 new markets for flights for us, so we need to make sure the people in those communities know about Southwest Florida. This will be done in conjunction with Collier County. They will put an identical amount, $175,000, into that pot. It will be joined with dollars from the airport and from the airline, so a comprehensive joint marketing effort for this new air service. So our request to you, and what I would like to ask your permission for, is a total of $675,000 from reserve for those 2 things in the year ahead.
We're healthy on our reserve. Don't we have about $26 million?
I think the number's 23.4, but pretty healthy reserve situation for our organization.
We have a minimum that we want to maintain of about 20% or something.
20% of revenue, or no less than $7.8 million. So we're in.
We have a healthy reserve.
Correct, sir.
It's that rainy day you're always looking for.
Exactly.
We had our rainy day.
I'll move the item.
Second. Okay. Any other discussion on the item? Any objection? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a very special guest, Kathy Worker is here today. She's going to be talking about the Captain's Erosion Prevention District requests.
Good morning. I want to thank you all for giving me an opportunity to speak to you all today. As the Commissioner said, my name is Kathy Rooker. I'm with the Captiva Erosion Prevention District. I'm here to talk just briefly about Hurricane Irma and its impacts on the beaches of Captiva Island. Engineers and myself spent 2 days following Hurricane Irma to look at the impact on our beaches. Using visual observations, we were able to see that the storm overtopped the beaches at Captiva. And when I say overtopped, that is evidenced by a deflation of the beach. In other words, the beach was lowered. Another observation we made was that the beach had been scarped. The dune system that we have protecting the rest of the beach and the inland properties had been scarped pretty much along the whole coast. The other observation that we saw was not as evident, but in some places, water did go over the dunes. As I said, we were doing visual observations. If I did a quick estimate using visual observations of how much sand was lost, and we measure sand in cubic yards, the visual observations by the engineers and myself showed an estimated 100,000 cubic yards of sand may have been lost on Captiva. But I want to qualify that because that's a visual observation. There is sand that is still in the system that is submerged near shore. Visually, I cannot quantify the amount of sand that has been lost to the near shore and how much is still in the coastal system. The coastal system sometimes will return some of that sand back to the coast. We don't know yet, and I don't know how much is in there. What I am here today is we have determined that without a physical survey of the 5 miles of beach on Captiva Island, we will not be able to determine how much sand is there, how much sand has been lost pre-storm and post-storm. And I would like to explain, too, before the storm hit Captiva Island, I took photos all along 5 miles of beach at Captiva Island. So we have pre-storm and we have post-storm. But I can Actually, a good representation of the deflation is a piling in sand. The bottom 2 feet, when you look at the piling, is beautiful wood because it was buried under the sand before. The rest is all weathered above it. That gives us an idea we might have lost 2 feet of sand. What I'm asking today, though, is for the committee to help us pay 1/2 of the cost to do the physical survey, which would be done by an engineering firm of the entire 5 miles of Captiva at every profile, including the submerged profiles off the coast. The total cost to do this engineering study is $50,000. And so I am here today to ask $25,000 of you to help us do this. After this is done and the report is provided and all the profiles are provided to us, this will come back to the Captiva Erosion Prevention District, and it's very valuable information for us. It is impossible for us to determine what we need to do to have a complete recovery on Captiva Island without this. This information will show us how much we lost, where did we lose it, what should be done next, and how soon do we need to do it so that we return everything to the conditions that our tourists expect of Captiva Island. If you have any questions, I'd certainly like to hear it.
Any question, Colleen?
Is this all that you would need? If work has to be done, are we going to have to go back and do more reporting? Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you need, you need additional reports to go after grants and things like that. So is this like a one-stop thing, or we would need more? We're going to put more money behind investigation. Does that make sense? No.
This is the monitoring to see what needs to be done.
Okay.
What would be done based on this, if it's necessary, is the next beach renourishment. And of course, Lee County and CEPD and the state of Florida are partners in that.
Right.
And that would be down the road. But this may initiate a change into our cycle of renourishment. Yes?
When's the next scheduled beach renourishment? Like, what's the cycle?
Well, usually it's every 8 years. And our plan was to make it to October 2021. We are only in the middle of that now. So we expect to be able to do it 4 years from now. The results of this may change that, or it may not. We need to find out, though.
Thank you.
I think also some information also, if they apply to FEMA, some of this will be reimbursed from FEMA. Is that correct, Kathy?
Yes. The information that I'm going to also gain from this will be able to be submitted to FEMA to document any losses that we have. The way FEMA works, they will look at how much sand was lost and decide whether we're eligible for them to help with that, pay for the mobilization and also to pay for the sand. I want to give you an idea. When we talked about 100,000 cubic yards, if you look at our last beach nourishment project we did in 2013, every yard actually came back to cost $16 a yard. So if you think about 100,000 cubic yards, just the sand itself is worth $1.6 million. The mobilization and demobilization to do that project in 2013 was $6 million.
Any other question?
Kathleen, who's doing the other 25,000? Is it the Captiva Erosion?
Yes. Well, we do it through, that's through the assessments that our property owners pay to the CEPD. And we're going to have to go into our reserves to pay that.
Cameron had a question, then Mayor Lorraine.
You know, just to clarify, with the emergency request, we typically fund at 50%. So they're asking, their cost is $50,000, and they're asking for $25,000 from the TDC.
But for clarity purposes, Colleen's question, the funding that comes from this really is part of the $2 million we normally allocate in beach and shorelines when they talk about beach renourishment. Isn't that where it comes out of theoretically?
It would come out of beach and shoreline, correct. I mean, now we have one
every year when you go through that process, there's about $2 million set aside for legal.
Correct.
So to answer Colleen's question, I don't think it's an additional request coming back to us. It's probably going to come out of beach and shorelines if I had to guess.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any motion on the item?
I'll second it.
Renee, Kevin second. Any other discussion? Any objection? Motion passes. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time, and more importantly, thank you for your support.
Thank you, Kathy. And next, 2018-19 events marketing, Tamara.
Nancy is unable to be with us today, so I get to help establish the events marketing subcommittee. And I think she's talked to some of you who have participated in the past and to see if you're interested in continuing, but I want to share who our last committee members were. Pam Cronin as chair, Renee Affordet, Colleen DePasquale, and Bill Wachulas. We do like to have 5 members. So we're looking for volunteers. Pam has, I know she had to leave, but she did say she would be willing to serve again. I think Renee is going to bow out. I'll let him speak for himself.
Well, yeah, after I've been on it a long while, and my term is up next summer anyway, so get some new blood on this.
Okay. What? Colleen? I'll do it. Colleen will do it. So we have Pam and Colleen. Mayor Ruane. We're still looking for 2 more people. Well, we can throw Bill in for sure. If you're not here, you get thrown out. Can I get one more, please?
You've got a couple of people missing.
Fran will do it. So we have Pam, Colleen, Bill, Mayor Ruane, and Fran as your proposed committee. Can we have a motion and a second?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any other discussion? Any objection to the committee appointments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then got one more item.
Fort Myers Beach tram proposal. Katie? Is it Katie or Steve?
I gotta go together.
Good morning, Council. My name is Steve Myers. I'm the Transit Director for Lee County. We appreciate having some time this morning with you to present a proposal for a partnership to provide a different and new service for Lee Tran, which is a tram which we're proposing to operate on Fort Myers Beach. Lee Tran is re-examining the way that we provide services, and this is an opportunity, we think, to open up some new mobility options and hopefully to see a higher utilization of our beach services. So Katie Meckley, who's our marketing director, many of you know Katie, is going to do a quick PowerPoint for you, and then we'll be happy to answer your questions.
Good morning. Lee Tran is proposing to implement a seasonal tram that will run along Fort Myers Beach. Meaning seasonal, we're talking early January to mid-April. And I have maps coming up, but the tram is proposed to start at Bowditch Point. It will go down past Wynn Hall Park, loop around the Times Square area, go down Estero Boulevard, and then end near Matanzas Pass Preserve. The tram route will connect the beach park and ride trolley. So from our new beach park and ride that's being built on Pine Ridge Road near the Walmart on Summerlin, and then it will also connect with the Lover's Key trolley. So you'll still have access from off beach to all the way to Lover's Key with the tram in the middle. There are 22 stops in this section that provide direct beach access, meaning they're at actual access points where you can pull off and park. However, all of the stops along that route are within a quarter mile of a beach access, as well as restaurants, attractions, and items like that. Because the trams, and when we talk about tram, I'll show you a picture of it in a minute, but we're talking about sort of the trams that you would see at Disney where you get out of your car, get into a tram, and take it to the park. So you have a visual until I get to that slide. But due to the open nature of the tram vehicles, there's not a real easy way for us to collect fares. We also want it to be easy accessible for visitors, so we're proposing to not charge fares for this tram service. We would still charge it on the regular trolleys, but not on this portion of the route for the trams. When we look at the success of the beach trolleys at this point, this is one of the areas that's growing for Lee Tran, and you can see how popular it is with visitors. When we look at year over year, the Route 410, which is our beach trolley route, was up 7.4%. The beach park and ride trolley, the 490, was up 18.8%. And overall, for fiscal year 17, the trolley routes were up 11.6%. In general, public transit is declining, so to see a rise that big is a huge success for the amount of visitors that are and users that are using this tram. And this is an example of the tram that we're looking at leasing or purchasing. We have both those options. As you can see, it's fun, it's beachy, and it'll provide some good marketing opportunities as well in terms of branding, wrapping, and how we present it. This is just an overview map. The purple is our overall system of Lee County, so you can see how the tram interacts with the overall system of Lee Tram. The dark blue, which looks dark blue up there, is the park and ride, so it's the regular trolley that would come in from town. The green is where we're proposing that the tram will run, and then it would pick back up to a regular trolley from around Matanzas Pass Preserve going down to Lovers Key. So here's a zoomed-in picture of where we're proposing to run the trolley. You can see the blue, again, is the Fort Myers Beach trolley coming in from the park and ride, but the trolley would go to the park or Beach Bottage Point, and that's where they would switch to the tram. It would run down, loop around the Times Square area, and come down. All of the numbers there are the direct access points for the beach. You can see it runs by a lot of the hotels, restaurants, and the more commercial area of the beach. We're recommending that there be 2 trams and 3 trolleys, so we have enough frequency, so it's very convenient. The frequency, we're saying the trams would come every 20 minutes, so there would never be more than a 20-minute wait. Knock on wood with traffic, we all know. But 20 minutes is what we're going for, with 15 minutes on the trolley. So it's a really easy way to hop on, hop off, and get up and down the beach without having to take a car out or driving yourself. We're proposing the current trolley is 75 cents a ride, or you can buy an all-day pass or a multiple-day pass. But we're proposing that the fare be free for this tram. Some considerations to think about. Right now we use a trolley to go through that old San Carlos area. The trolley is very big in those roads. It's hard to turn those corners. It's hard for pedestrians walking on the sidewalks and in the road when you see that big trolley coming. So the trams are a lot smaller. We'll be able to make those turns a lot tighter. We're recommending that there be 2 employees on the trams for safety reasons, as well as counting and doing passenger counts. So we'll have a driver and then a conductor in the back to help monitor. And another consideration is we'd have to look at our stops along the beach. They were built for the trolley, so we'd have to look at them just to make sure the tram fits safely with traffic. With the benefits of the tram is where we want to concentrate. We really think at Lee Tram that this will help enhance the visitor experience. It's something that's very memorable for them to leave with. It also provides a free mode of transportation for visitors to use while they're there. So all they have to do is walk out of their hotel, walk out of a restaurant, hop on this free tram. They don't have to worry about having the exact change or anything like that, and it'll take them to where they're trying to go. It'll take them to other hotels. It'll take them to Matanzas Pass Preserve. So it really can get them around the island easily for their visit and for their stay. And the nice part about it is it stays on island, so it doesn't have to fight the traffic to go back over the bridge or come back. It's really geared towards those visitors right there on the beach. It also presents a fun and tropical personality, which I really think brainstorming with the VCB, we could do a lot of fun marketing things to promote it, and really good collaborative effort between the departments to do that. Here's the fun part when we look at costs. Currently, it costs us just over $814,000 a year to just seasonally run the trolleys. When we look at adding the tram in, it adds about $238,000 of operating costs. So it would take those seasonal operating costs to just over $1 million. We're looking at a lost fare revenue by not doing that of about $51,000 or $52,000. And then the question comes up of whether we want to lease it or purchase it, so we have costs for both of that broken out as well. When you're looking at the lease and purchase costs, you'll see the actual costs from Trans International, where we would get them, And then the AVL radio is our GPS system that goes into the vehicles so that people are able to use the app or the website to track the real-time location of the vehicle. So we need to add that on as well. So you can see the lease is about $184,000. We have to lease for 6 months. That's the total for the 6 months. And then the total purchase price would be about $268,400. We're proposing to run it as a pilot program to see how it's received and how it operates. So that's kind of the overview. And I'll let Steve tell you what we're asking for. And then we'll answer questions.
All right, so Lee-Tran is requesting TDC funding for 85% of the cost of the incremental additional costs for the tram service, and that is based on the direct access to the beach access points on this new service. So we've tried to allocate those costs based on access to beach access points.
And what's that dollar amount?
The dollar amount of the request? It would be, depending on lease or purchase, between, I think it calculated somewhere in the range of $350,000 to $450,000 of TDC funding.
If I could also, when I first talked to staff about this a few weeks ago, I initially proposed it to me as a lease program, and I saw the cost of the lease. Then my question, how much would it cost to purchase it? And that's what we have the numbers now for purchasing, when it's something we could use every year instead of just leasing it year to year. So that's why there's two options there, lease or purchase. From a financial standpoint, which one's better, to do lease or purchase it?
Does the lease include maintenance?
Steve, does lease include maintenance? Do you know?
No, we incur our maintenance costs under this agreement.
Even under the lease agreement?
Yes.
So this is a proposed pilot program. What happens in year 2? Would this be something that you'd be looking for this to be funded through?
Well, so you're referring to, like, if we purchase it, what would the cost be if we purchase it the second and third year?
Well, the ask this year is going to be $300 and something thousand.
Right. So what would be reoccurring?
Every year that we're going to be asked to fund this out of.
Under a lease agreement, we would be asking annually for that amount of money, because that's a recurring operating cost. If we do decide that we should purchase the vehicles, then in the second and subsequent years of that project, it would be the incremental operating cost, which would be that $238,000 that Katie alluded to.
So you see a reduction in cost the second and third year if it continued with the purchase, with the lease, which could be a continuing reoccurring cost. Colin?
I have a couple questions. One, is this something, if we move forward this year, because I guess the first question is in the past, we've been told not, when the projects have come up, not to worry about where the money comes from, but because the county commissioners would decide could they fund that. So as the county commissioners are asking us to fund this out of TDC funds, right? Like, instead of them asking, like, this was direction from you to come here.
Right, being back, the beach access will be used to TDC. We think it'd be good for TDC for the beach access, moving the beach.
My second question is this something that would come out of beach and shoreline funding in the future, or is this something that would come, I'm not sure where. Like, is this legal, beach and shoreline?
I can.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at you. Like next year, would this be part of the normal beach and shoreline request cycle?
For the operating component, 85% of the incremental cost, that's right, that would be the request. I think where Commissioner Pendergrass is going is our recommendation would be to purchase the tram, given, you can see what the lease versus purchase cost is, and given the residual value of the tram, probably doesn't make much sense to lease. We assume this will be successful. Your second year, you operate at 1.3 seasons, you're breaking even if you buy. So really the amount requested today is something on the order of $430-some thousand, I think, 85% of the $507,000. But then again, you're right, Colleen, in the second year, it'd be a beach and shoreline request for 85% of the operating component, which is something on the order of $200,000.
And then, I have one more question. These, there's a difference between running trams that, like your example, they are Disney World trams, right? But that's different on pavement, but to run them on the beach with the sand, the salt water, all the things that come with living on the, is it worth buying, the wear and tear in a year? I don't know. Like, have we done any homework? Have these been used on a beach somewhere else?
These are very often used in beach environments, and they do have a useful life, as we understand it, of about 10 years. The trams that we're particularly looking at have they are used units, but they have very low mileage on them. They were used by Apple previously and have only about 20, one of them 17, one of them 25,000 miles on it. So they're virtually new vehicles that we'd be putting into this project.
We don't have any other transportation that we're paying for out of TDC's budget currently, correct? This would be the first transportation type item that we'd be paying for out of the TDC.
At Lover's Key, right?
At Lover's Key, we have a tram that runs from the parking lot down to the beach. It's a pretty good distance to carry your items, so that there is a tram there. And at Cayo Costa, there's a tram that runs from the dock to the beach. And the other tram that we've helped with some funding for is at Mound House. We helped purchase a tram that would run from their parking area to the facility. So in most cases, it's parking to the access point, so to speak.
If I could, in my previous job, I came from Clearwater Beach, and we had a problem with parking as well. And we discussed this type of thing like trams and everything else. And at the end of the day, what we were able to do is we were able to bring in a private partner, Florida Free Rides, that had similar type trams and stuff that they ran for free to the hotel guests to be able, or tourist guests to be able to get all up and down the beach. And they made their money on selling all the advertisements on it, and their drivers just got tips. And then we didn't have to pay for it out of our public dollars to do that. Was there any look at, is there anything like that available to us as an alternative to having to spend $300,000 before you do that?
Legion currently sells advertising to offset route maintenance costs. We bring about between $500,000 to $600,000 a year in it. So after the pilot program, we'll definitely look at ideas, assuming it's successful, which we think it will be. Whether it will bring in enough to offset the costs, I don't know completely, but we do use advertising right now to offset maintenance costs.
Will we be able to put it out to bid to anybody publicly to be able to come in and, a private company come in and do this as opposed to it being something run through Lead-Tran? Because they sold to a restaurant. The restaurant completely decked it out to make it cool and fun, and that whole experience I think you're trying to go for. Is there a private firm that might want to come in and do that at no cost to us as opposed to our expense to do this?
Well, we certainly could look at that in the future. If we find the reception, I think, to the service is good and we decided it's an ongoing project, we could do that at the direction of our board.
I think also that might be an option to the town of Fort Myers Beach then, if they want to get together within their businesses within the town and to look at something like that. But this is being looked at as far as more of a 30,000-foot view, so trying to improve traffic down there, trying to improve visitation of the beach and getting beach access. So, okay.
Your picture that you have where you have your blue and your yellow lines, I see that it looks like the trolley is in Times Square, but then as you go down the beach, all the accesses, does it show the trolley not going that route and picking up down at Beach Access 23? Is there a reason why the trolleys are not running in that first mile? Or am I just reading it wrong?
That area is being served just by the tram, between Bowditch and Matanzas Pass Preserve. That is all a tram route. Now, the blue route coming from, of course, from Summerlin Drive, our new parking ride, you see that coming through the Times Square area as well. But down at Access 23, you see the blue line connecting at that point. That is coming from Lover's Key, connecting at that end point.
So anybody that's already on the trolley, I'm thinking about all the people that ride for work even, they have to get off of the trolley there and get on the tram down to 23, which is almost a mile. Is that true?
That's correct.
So that the tram is in lieu of the trolley in that area.
Yes.
Is there possible the trolley can run that mile? I mean, the trolleys are really, really important to Fort Myers Beach.
Well, it would require, we are substituting costs. So if we run the trolley as well, we'll either, there'll be a cost in either terms of frequency for the existing trolleys or additional trolley service. What we might look at there would be, work trips, if we could make some work trip on the trolley so there wasn't a transfer. We could look at some options to maybe do that during certain hours of the day.
Question?
Two questions. How long, what are the hours of operation?
The hours of operation and our planner is here, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but approximately 5 o'clock in the morning, our trolley service starts, and it runs during season to about 11 o'clock at night, I believe, so 10:30.
Tram service.
Tram service will reflect the same hours as the trolley.
And so I understand that you have a trolley that runs down to a drop-off point, a tram that would pick up from there, run down to another trolley drop-off point. And I guess my question is, or my assumption would be, you're using a tram at that point because you've got a high traffic area and you're trying for easy on-off kind of inviting look, as opposed to just running the trolley you already have down the same stretch and not doing
Correct.
trams.
That's absolutely correct. It's easy on and off. There are no doors, there are no steps, kind of just step on, step off. Creates a completely different experience for that really sort of commercial area of the beach. That's what we're going for.
Renee?
A couple of questions. I assume Andre is okay with this project legally?
Legally, the only costs that can be borne by the tourist development tax are those that involve going to the beach stops.
Public beach stop.
Beach accesses, nothing else.
All right. And is Fort Myers Beach participating in this in any way, financially or otherwise?
No, Fort Myers Beach is not participating in this project.
I think they're going to be discussing, I think somebody was saying earlier, their upcoming council meeting. I think they're looking at this as far as the access, the current beautification that's going on now with the improvements to the road down there is trying to bring a better environment for the walkability and get people more out of the cars and reduce some of the traffic.
And how many others are going to be here next time asking for this now that we're setting the, we haven't set the precedent. Before it was basically parking lot business. Is anybody else out there going to be knocking on our door wanting a couple $300,000 for this sort of thing? Or?
It would have to be beach access. So you've got a couple of possibilities that could ask. Yes.
Something to consider. I mean.
Right.
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes, Rob.
I'd like to ask a question of Mayor Wayne. I know in the past we talked about different things, the transportation on Sanibel, reducing the traffic. Is this something the city of Sanibel's ever talked about, to reduce traffic from the lighthouse to Ding Darling and vice versa? I mean, this is
We've
trying to
done
reduce.
studies. Certainly, they were part of Ding Darling federal grants, and our citizens would not embrace it.
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to say that I agree. I think it's a slippery slope here with this, and I think that there may be other options to look at before moving forward with this. I think it's definitely needed. It's something that's there, but it's a lot of money coming out of TDC to pay for this right now, and it would be a reoccurring expense every year. And did we vet all the options out before we've approved this, is my comment.
Okay.
I actually think it's a really good idea. I just think there's some unanswered questions, and maybe it could go before the town council, as you said, their next meeting, and we could get their input. And my only concern is the trolleys go a little bit faster than, I think these go 15 miles an hour. Yeah. So my concern is the people we have a big ridership in those trolleys. And that was my concern. But I think maybe we could get Fort Myers Beach's input and take a look at it again, because it's something that I think some of the areas have been talking about for a lot of years. I know when Commissioner Kiker was a mayor, he was talking about this way back when. So I just think we need a little bit more input maybe, and maybe from the town, and but basically it's a great idea to, especially for the tourists.
Well, looking at too, don't you?
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely.
Two other questions, if you may. How long has the trolley service been going on?
Long time.
Many, many years.
Many
years.
Probably 20 years.
I would
And,
say so.
you know, to the point, you know, whenever you have a walk-on of this nature with a lot of questions, you know, I would love to hear from the beach. You know, again, I just thought maybe someone from the beach would kind of explain this and indicate the impacts. You know, it's difficult for me sitting here as a representative of a municipality not knowing where the beach stands. I'm assuming they're all for this. I'm assuming, but I don't know if it was actually originated from a county commissioner. Is that how this walked on? You know, just trying to understand the origin of this. Normally, if you were asking me in Sanibel, I'd be here up talking to you about that. So that's the only input I'd love to hear. But,
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I know Dave Harner and the county manager have had conversations with beach staff, and I believe the district commissioner has spoken with all of the council members. I can't tell you much more than that.
Do we have we have a deadline time-wise? I mean, we're under the gun here.
Well, that is the challenge. If you want to implement it by season,
yes.
We're under a deadline.
I too think it's super helpful. What's the length of the time frame left on the road construction? We were like 2 years into a 10-year project. Did we speed it up?
I think we're
For
2
the-
years into a 10-year project.
For the entire project?
Yeah.
Entire all segments? Well, we have accelerated it, but it's still, I mean, you know, we've gone from 10 to 6 years, so.
Some of my issues with it are, I think that the share that you're asking from the council is too great. I think 85% and no end date is something that would be hard for me to vote for, not just for this, but for anything that would be recurring. Also, I agree that I think that the city needs to weigh in on this, and the city representative should let us know. I think that they have to put money in for me to feel comfortable with the spend. We have on rare occasion done things without money from the city, but typically, in the case of Cayo Costa, for instance, it was the state park system. They didn't have a city. But there's a lot of people that have a vested interest on this that I think we might be able to round up. So just giving you a little direction, I don't know that I'd feel comfortable taking a vote on it today, but moving forward, I think that I agree that there's a need for it there.
Any other questions or discussions, any motions of any kind?
Would it be proper for a motion to maybe for this to go back to the town council and to get some input and come back to our table? I don't know. Or are we just going to let it die and?
Well, yeah, I mean, you certainly could direct staff to bring this back to you with some of the information that you've been asking for, absolutely. You know, keeping in mind that very likely could mean 2019 implementation, so.
I mean, we're an advisory council, and we're trying to give you some guidance in framing this to say, okay, here's what additional information. I mean, it's someone that's been sitting here for a while. The more information you give somebody, the easier to embrace. I mean, a walk-on as late as this is, to try to say I need to make a decision today, I'm struggling there. So, and again, I'd love to hear from the beach, and I'd love to have the beach here saying this will help a great deal. I'm looking at return on investment and beach, and obviously bed tax revenue. I'm saying, okay, how are we doing this? So again, just trying to understand it a little bit better, but not opposed to hearing from the beach.
We got another question, Rob, and then May. Go ahead.
One other comment just for direction. I really have a problem when we get outside of a typical funding cycle, other than for like emergency needs. To me, this was fairly easy to plan out. We've been in this road construction now for a couple years. And in fairness to those that come in front of us in the beach and shoreline, where we really struggle to make those decisions, and we end up having to prioritize the needs from each of the communities, and typically are short money at the end to fund everything on the wish list. To me, this is more of one that I would expect to see in a normal funding cycle for beach and shoreline funding. Just a thought.
Renee?
If you're looking for a motion, I'll just make a motion that they come back to the council with other funding options for this particular project. I think everybody here kind of sees that tram would be a good idea. It's just the way we're going about it and who's funding it and for how much. I think that's where we're getting hung up. So maybe they could come back with different options.
Did we also include some discussion earlier about the beach council information too?
Yes.
To the motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any objection? Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And we're next for council information. Do you have anything else?
I do want to point out two things. One, in your packet and also in the public packet is an article that ran in the Lodging Magazine, which is American Hotel and Lodging Association's publication that they print and send out to folks that are members of American Hotel and Lodging Association. It has a lot of information about the, tragic, gives you some ideas of a planning process in light of what happened in Las Vegas. And I think we are all, as an industry, just shocked, stunned, and devastated by what happened in Vegas. I think it's a really important piece. I strongly encourage all our hotels to get a copy of it, take a look at it. We will share it at our next sales and marketing meeting, but I put it in there. I really, it's about crisis planning. It's very well thought out. It's a brief article, but I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And then I want to point out to you that next month we're meeting on the very first day, we're meeting on Monday, November 13th. Not a Thursday, not a Friday, a Monday, November 13th, and that's because we'll be coming back from London, and the holiday fell on Friday. It was just a challenge to get that second week. So Monday, November 13th, please make sure your calendar is adjusted. That's all I have, sir.
Coming back that soon?
I'll be back. I'll be back on Thursday, but.
Okay. Any members have information? We'll start with Renee. Renee, you have anything?
Very quickly, I was just, when we were talking about the flights from Germany before, and this is my ignorance, but we always seem to end up with some outfit like Grace Elfberger, or an airline company, and yet we have a couple of flights, or 2 or 3 a week, was it? And they were running pretty full. Why doesn't someone like Lufthansa or something like that, a major airline, interested in something like that if they're running full aircraft? Is there a reason for that?
Well, I can't tell you Eurowings is affiliated with Lufthansa. That's their.
Is that their wing?
I guess we'll call it lower cost airline, and they are doing domestic flights within Germany, within Europe, and then also long haul flights. It's their new product, so it is affiliated with Lufthansa, so that you know. But I think your real challenge, honestly, is that we are still a relatively small community and a relatively small airport. When we like to compare ourselves to Miami and Tampa and Orlando in terms of the way we present ourselves, the professionalism with which we market ourselves, but the reality is we're a community of 725,000 people. There are more people that live within a 1-mile radius of the Miami airport than live in Olney County. It's a challenge. It is one that we are very much aware of, but hats off to the folks at the airport for what they do.
Okay. On that note, Grant? Okay. Yes, we got your hot sheets and those. Okay. Colleen? Nope. Anything?
I think just, it may have been mentioned in the last meeting, I wasn't there or not, but the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association and the Lee County Hotel Association have gotten together and saw that a lot of our interests align in the same vein, so we've made the decision and voted upon and merged the two. So the Lee County Hotel Association no longer exists as that name. It's now the Lee County chapter of the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association, of which Jeff Lutton is still the president, and Lois Croft is our CEO of the chapter. And we will have our next meeting on Thursday the 19th at the Hilton Garden Inn on Alico, and Mr. Desjardins will be our guest speaker at that luncheon. So if you can attend it, please come. We're much bigger with a lot more membership now. So.
Congratulations. Mayor?
I just wanted to recognize Brian and the marketing team, Tam, the Visitor and Convention Bureau staff on getting some great awards, marketing awards, up at the Governor's Conference. I don't know that we've had a meeting since then. They let me drive around with the plaques, which were second, third place awards for like a month in my car. They didn't give me the first place award. I guess they didn't trust me with that one.
Brian didn't let that go.
Now they're all back in the home office here, so nice job, everybody.
I think Brian's, like, slept with it. I just want you to know. We all do. I don't think it had any chance of going home with you, Rob.
And good job on Island Hoppers, if we didn't say that, thank you.
And I'm guilty, I didn't thank the staff for Island Hopper, but we're going to have a big presentation on the results at Island Hopper, and I know Nancy's not here, but Nancy McPhee, Cindy Henson, and Amanda are, the job they do to deliver Island Hopper to this community, and honestly, as I said to you, and not only that, but we executed that 12 days after the storm. I mean, you have no idea of the challenges and obstacles and hurdles we faced to do that.
Who didn't have power?
But, they did it because we all love this community and we want to deliver great things to the community. I'm incredibly proud of them, incredibly proud. Thanks, Rob.
Well, thank you. If there's nothing else, we'll adjourn and see you next month.
So in your parking lot, where am I going to be in a half hour?
I'll tell you what, parking today, we have to park our employees up at the mall.
Thank you for joining.